Answer questions at the speed of thought.
When visualizing data in a realistic rendered 3D environment, it is important to represent the data in a readable way. In our work, we investigate how the opacity affects the readability of a 2D shape and determine useful opacity ranges. Therefore, we performed a user study with different overlay configuration like filled, striped, and dotted pattern, their density, and considered the effect of an outline.
When developing a deep learning model, people typically struggle to optimize hyperparameters that affecting the model performance. To relieve the pain of this manual trial process, AutoML has been developed as a solution. However, to maximize the potential of the AutoML, people should identify a good AutoML setting for their task. Hypertendril helps to maximize the potential by visualizing AutoML algorithm behavior and guiding effective hyperparameters.
Asteroids have always been and will always be a threat to life on Earth. Most likely, an asteroid will hit deep water, but what properties will actually lead to a threat like a tsunami? Ensemble simulations are a common tool to understand the effect of different parameters like the size of the asteroid. We propose an interactive visual approach to help analyzing deepwater asteroid impact simulation ensembles.
We propose X-matrix, a novel method for random forest interpretability. From a random forest model, a logic rule is extracted from each decision path on every decision tree. Once the complete set of logic rules is obtained, visual representations can be built for global and local explanations. X-matrix, making random forests interpretable.
Smartwatches can track a wide variety of data. We are interested to learn which type of data people consume and how it is visualized. To find out, we conducted a survey with 237 participants. We found a predominant display of health fitness data, with data mostly displayed as icons with text. Based on our findings, we discuss opportunities for visualization research on smartwatches.
Tableau helps you see the stories in your data. It's designed to help you be smarter, so you can make better decisions faster. With Tableau, you can keep on asking questions in the data until you discover the root cause. Share your analysis securely. Your entire organization can access these interactive dashboards from any browser or mobile device to find their own answers. Tableau. Answer questions at the speed of thought. Tableau helps you see the stories in your data. It's designed to help you be smarter, so you can make better decisions faster. Connect to the data you care about. Sort, highlight, drill down, or filter your data in seconds. Add calculations to extend your data. With Tableau, you can keep on asking questions in the data until you discover the root cause. Tableau. Answer questions at the speed of thought.
We propose a new semi-automatic method that uses topological features to guide users in tracing neurons and integrate this method within a virtual reality framework. We use the Morse-Mel complex to find a set of candidate neuron arcs. The candidate arcs are integrated into a VR neuron tracing system and exposed through our Morse-Mel complex guided semi-automatic tracing tool. The topological ridge graph underlying our MSC guided tool is robust against gaps in the signal.
Do these three essays construct their argumentation similarly? Where in this table of argumentation data from the previously seen texts can I find certain argumentation patterns? Do these three argument maps depict the same argument? We have developed a visual analysis system for argumentation in essays that can answer these questions at a glance. You want to know how it works? Come to my talk.
Linking and brushing is very useful for interactive visual data exploration. Data-driven brushing tools are getting popular recently and achieve good results, for example the Mahanolo-based brush and the CNN-based brush. However, these brushing tools are optimized by the data from a large number of users, which are not suitable for everyone. In this paper, we introduce an adaptive brush model which takes the user in a loop to improve the brushing accuracy.
Suppose you want to see the overall structure of a new project repository. Using Git client tools, GitHub Network, or Git log command is quite burdensome to get overview and navigate data. We presented Gitthrough as an interactive visual analytics system for the Git metadata to help users explore and understand the context of development history.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today to this virtual opening reception for the VIS Arts Program 2020. So my name is Yoon Han. I'm assistant professor in San Jose State University and then co-general chair of VISAP 2020. So this year was very special, and then we would like to thank to all our committee members who support our VISAP art program. So we are really thankful for the ongoing logistical support of the IEEE VIS Conference Committee, particularly the generous assistant of Valerio Pascucci, Wilshire, Guatem, Maria Velez, and the tech web committees, especially, shout out to the tech committee who make it, this thing happen. And then the student volunteers, thank you so much. And the VISA steering committee, and then all our outstanding program committees. I really, really appreciate all your support and always ongoing, consideration and support. And then we also thank our design chair, Professor Kyua Shim, who designed the beautiful visual identity and website, and Chrissy Chung, who designed the catalog, and Bella Parkinson, who did an awesome job for our social media support. So we have 3 more general chairs, Professor Erik Brunvand, Professor Maria Lantin, and Carmen Hull. So, and then we, our general chairs will introduce ourselves, and then we'll go through the VISA website and artworks. We also have a great exhibition chair this year, Professor Hannah Lee from University of Utah. So she will introduce VISA.
Hi, so I want to talk about what the VISAP is. The VIS Art Program, VISAP, is a forum where visualization researchers, designers, and media artists come together to discuss topics in data visualization around the annual theme. And this year, as we know, that our theme is Enchantment. It is the biggest associate event in the IEEE VIS conference, and its main goal is to foster new thinking, discussion, and collaboration between the fields.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the theme of enchantment. As some of you might know, the root of the word is to sing into. And if you know French, you would know this because we often say enchanté, which means to chant, to sing. But of course, since then, it's acquired many different meanings, and often we think of it as a kind of a feeling of being transported by magic. And we were interested to see where the community would go with the theme. Now, obviously, we came up with the theme at a time that was a little bit simpler than now. And it seemed a bit odd, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, to have a theme of enchantment. But in the end, as we are now in October, 7 months into the pandemic, I think that enchantment is something that's quite necessary for us to remember, to hope, and also to see the little moments where our minds do stop in the everyday. So to enchant is to stop the mind for a moment in surprise, curiosity, and it's to connect with the extraordinary in the everyday, so everyday magic. It breaks expectations, it can speak to old memories, ancient truths. It can make us look again and more deeply. And sometimes it seems that modernity No, it said that the host muted me. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, I'll just go back. So sometimes it seems that modernity might have stripped the world of enchantment because it seems to have a bias towards explaining, deciphering, stating, categorizing. But with this theme, we wanted to place the emphasis on the capacity to wonder and its doorway to curiosity, research, and engagement. And then the notion that enchantment could be something that we aim for when we create visualizations. So, all of the artists and performers in this exhibition have taken this theme in different directions. All of them, though, have really taken, current issues in their work. So things like the pandemic, things like climate change, and of course the election coming up in November. So, we've really seen a variety of things, but they've been so beautiful. And I hope that you can take some time and browse the website.
Hi, I'm Erik Brunvand. I'm a professor in the School of Computing at the University of Utah. And I would like to welcome you all virtually to Salt Lake City, Utah. Of course, we all had hoped to welcome you actually to Salt Lake City. For those of you who can't be here, this is Salt Lake City behind me. You can see the University of Utah over my right and left shoulders, and the Wasatch Mountains behind my head. This is where we would all be enjoying this wonderful conference and the VISAP program if it were not for, of course, these unfortunate events. So I wanted to welcome you to Salt Lake City, say just a little bit about one of the reasons why we, in the past at least, we're so excited to have the conference here in Salt Lake City. The University of Utah is what many consider to be the home of computer graphics. The computer science department at the University of Utah was founded in 1965 by David Evans. The arrival of Ivan Sutherland in 1968 really sort of took computer graphics from a small niche field to sort of a world-leading study. The list of graduates from the University of Utah in the sort of late 1960s, early 1970s is sort of a who's who of computer graphics research. Alan Kay from 1969, John Warnock from 1969, Henri Garreau from Garreau Shading, 1971, Bitong Fong from Fong Shading from 1973, Ed Catmull, 1974, Jim Clark, 1974. So there really is a long history of computer graphics innovation and work at the University of Utah that, of course, sort of leads into visualization and the visualization arts program that we're here to enjoy this year. So I did just want to say welcome virtually to Salt Lake City. We hope you enjoy the VISAP program, the Viz Arts program, and of course the rest of the Viz conference as well. And so with that, I think I'll hand off to Carmen.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough of our exhibition format this year, which is our website. So although most of us enjoy experiencing art and having the opportunity to discuss things with people, have these random interactions and spontaneous meetings in front of the art itself, we still are very happy to present to you our website. And I'd first like to thank Q Shim, who graciously offered to produce our website this year. He is from Pittsburgh, so he's a computational designer and researcher at the School of Design at Carnegie Mellon. So here is our website that you can visit. We have our program listed here, so while it's also available for viewing on the Viz website, you can also see the program here. So we have our opening reception today, and then we have 2 sessions for the papers and pictorials. So session 1 is tomorrow morning and session 2 is Thursday morning.
Carmen, we can't actually see the website. Are you sharing the right screen?
Yeah, Carmen, you share a different screen. Yeah.
We're seeing Q's website.
Yeah, sorry, oh yes. I was just showing that first. There we go. Okay, so here, does that work?
Yes.
Okay, so here's our program. We have the 2 sessions on Thursday and then, the 2 sessions on Wednesday and then Thursday. And then this is also where we have our exhibition links to all of the artists' websites. So we have the various pictures here of each website, and you can link to their site and see some of their also previous work. So now we're also going to show you a fast forward video that describes each one of these in detail.
Few days later, since I was trying to process what happened, it messed me up. I trusted her.
Climate Continuum is a work with a purpose. A visualization of the past 150 years in climate data. The piece blurs the lines between sculpture and performance, object and action. Rendered in a temperature-sensitive material, the presence of the viewer causes a color change from purple to pink. Echoing on a local scale, the role the viewer is playing in the ecosystems driving the source data at a global scale.
Leander is an experimental short film that uses color data to generate its musical soundtrack. The changing colors of Lake Michigan determine weighted probability vectors that in turn affect the possible behavior of 6 different musical parameters. This stochastic process is an exploration of a possibility space that synthesizes traditional music composition, random chance, and data sonification.
Project Omana's 7 Days in April translates a bird Omana's migration journey into haiku poems that generated from the flying and environmental data, along with a series of map images rendered in traditional East Asian landscape painting style. We hope to help the public better comprehend the information and rethink our relationship with nature.
Tidynauts is a visualization project aimed at giving visibility to the issue of sexual harassment in academia. In our project, we used the qualitative data coming from an online survey, and we explored strategies and methodologies coming from different disciplines. Our aim is to represent this data in a way that is sensitive and empowering for the community of people who experienced this phenomenon in their academic life.
The research project The Gaze, The Machine Without Eyes is audiovisual artwork. It established a unique feedback and creative collaboration between surveillance, AIs, and human. The artwork weaves through the experience of enchantment, irony, and uncovers unsettling relationship between the pandemic, racism, and surveillance culture.
Uncertain Facing is a data-driven interactive audiovisual installation that aims to represent the uncertainty of data points of which their positions in 3D space are estimated by machine learning techniques. It also tries to raise concerns about the possibility of the unintended use of machine learning with synthetic fake data.
As COVID-19 spreads across the globe and the number of deaths continues to rise, the heartbreaking experiences are being replaced by collective mourning. The death of one man is a tragedy. The death of millions is a statistic. Here we try to document as many people who have left us because of the pandemic as possible, and help seeking information they posted before they pass away. Behind every number is a life.
When people keep the distance from objects and other people, what is the volume of the voids between them? Inspired by the current COVID-19 pandemic situation, this project incorporates the techniques of photogrammetry, algorithmic design, and 3D printing to create a poetic representation of the invisible border between different beings.
Electroelectro 2020 is an interactive art installation combining audience participation, technology, news footage, and politics. IMAX running a custom Max MSP jitter software patch are housed in voting booths that once housed the Diebold AccuVote TS voting computer. The patch allows participants to remix debate footage from the 2020 American presidential election cycle in a structured 16-beat loop.
Visum is a data-driven interactive audiovisual artwork that provides an immersive experience into visual perception. The sonification and visualization of the scientific data creates sound and visual objects as a representation of integrated cognitive visual processes. The audience will hear and see spatialized audiovisual output, giving them the sense that they are in a human brain.
Kangjie provides an immersive exploration in semantic human-machine reality. We trained a neural network that we named Kangjie to learn the constructions and principles of over 9,000 Chinese characters. It perceives the surroundings through a camera and transforms the real world into a collage of new symbols that composes a VR space.
Okay, and now we're on to the next section of this program, which is live performance. Oh, okay. Hi, so now we're on to the next portion of the program, which is live performances, 3 live performances. The first one is Electroelectro by Mike Richison, who's an artist and professor of media and design at Monmouth University in New Jersey. Electroelectro, which you'll have seen a little bit of in the fast forward video, is an interactive installation that uses Diebold AccuVote voting booths to remix videos from political rallies, debates, and news in a structured 16-beat loop. It consists of iMacs, iPads, small speakers, custom software patch to do the live remixing. And the touchscreen design is a parody of the touchscreen system employed by the AccuVote system, a voting system that's difficult to audit and susceptible to hacking. And the parody continues into the format of the installation, which resembles a polling station. So unfortunately, we would have loved to have this live and to have people remixing their own favorite clips from this election. But barring that, we're going to have this video from Mike Richison, who has remixed for us.
It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tubes and the laboratories. No, no, it's yes, yes, yes. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, 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 it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. It's not no, it's yes, yes, yes. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and Let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube. And let's go and test with the test tube.
Okay, thank you, Mike Richison. With Electroelectro, you almost traumatized us, but just brought us on that edge, so thank you for that. And the next up is Vism, Beyond the Physical Eye, a work by Lena Mathew, who is a PhD candidate at the University of California in Santa Barbara. Vism is a data-driven interactive audiovisual art installation that's based on the visual evoked potential, or VEP, triggered by optical illusions. A VEP is a specific brainwave pattern captured from a specific area of the human brain following the presentation of visual stimulus. In this case, there are optical illusions. So this installation sets out to sonify and visualize the output of the brain, to map the VEP output to a set of audiovisual characteristics that can be recognized. Okay, take it away, Lena. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Lena, Mathew. This was actually a perfect, very trippy rejoinder to Mike's work. And I should say that this installation would have been extremely good in an actual site in Salt Lake City. I think they had the installation site was supposed to be in the shape of a brain with the speakers where the sensors were on the head, and I'm sure Lena can talk more about that in the Q&A. But so it's in it. So the sound spatialization aspect of this it would have been so wonderful to experience. So next up is Kanji by Whitey, Zhang, and Donghao Ren. Whitey is a PhD candidate at the University of California in Santa Barbara, and Donghao Ren is a research scientist at Apple in data science and machine learning. Kanji provides a data-driven interactive spatial visualization generated by an intelligent system in real time through perceiving the real world via a camera. They trained a neural network they named Kanji after a legendary Chinese historian to learn the constructions and principles of all Chinese characters. The neural network then transforms what it perceives into a collage of unique symbols made of Chinese strokes, producing a continuously evolving and ever-changing poetic virtual reality. So here's Kanji. Okay, thank you, Whitey Zhang and Donghao Ren for Kanji. So this brings us to the end of the performances, and now we'll go on to Q&A. I know there's already questions in the Discord channel. So if you have any questions, please post them there, and then we'll have the artists answer.
All right, so now we will begin the live Q&A, and then in the Discord, Mike already got some few questions. So question from Cameron, can more than one person at a time interact with the pseudo voting booths? And then I think Mike, you probably can summarize. You already wrote in the Discord, but can you summarize your answers one more time, please?
Oh, sure. All 8 booths are actually networked via Ethernet cable. So they're all sharing a downbeat and a tempo. So so when they all start together and they all kind of move together. So but you can also pull yourself out of the equation. You don't necessarily have to share your tempo if you don't want to. So the idea was people could have headphones, which you shouldn't have anything on your ears now, and people could touch it, and you shouldn't touch anything right now. But yes, I hope that answers your question. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate that.
And it seems like there are more questions, did spending so much time with the US debate footage change anything for you and about your feelings? It's a kind of right on time, this topic, election is coming up. So what do you think about this question? Like your feelings about the current politics? You don't have to talk too much.
Well,
but...
it's, full disclosure, I didn't vote for Trump. I'm sorry for disappointing everybody, but I think just playing with the music and of Trump's voice has just been really great. And I've really just kind of delved into it and just really appreciate the poetry of it. He's so repetitive and, and there's so many poetic things in his voice now, like let's test with the test tubes in the laboratories. I mean, if that's not alliteration, it's a beautiful thing to say over and over again. And so I just, from a purely aesthetic point of view and just for laughs, I've kind of been able to aestheticize it, which kind of brings back to the theme of the conference of enchantment and just trying to avoid being enchanted myself, but trying to find the enchantment and the humor and the whatever aesthetics I can kind of dig out of there has been important to me. But thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that question.
Mm-hmm. Another question from Mathew Bremer. I wonder how long it took to become entirely desensitized to it. So there's a question about it.
I'm sorry, was that question for me? I'm sorry.
So I wonder how long it took to become entirely desensitized to it. So basically,
it only lasts for just a few moments. I watch the news, I go crazy, but then I can kind of look at the highlights and I've already digested the content, but then just going into so like I mentioned on in the Discord that I drive to my campus at midnight every night because I can't take the piece anywhere, and I stream on Twitch to an audience of about 2. So I kind of make up new beats every night, and that kind of lets me, and hopefully other people lets everyone kind of enjoy the aesthetics of it. But there's not desensitization. There's just diving into maybe trying to make something. I don't know, pleasing, entertaining, funny. I don't know what the right word is for that.
Great, thank you so much, Michael. There are some questions for Weidi and Donghao. Dr. Mary Pop asked if Weidi and Donghao can speak to the experience while in a headset and whether we can download it somewhere.
Hi. So this virtual reality. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. So this virtual reality is actually powered by the application Touch Designer. So if it's in Unity, I think we can upload to the Steam, but for now it's just it cannot be downloaded from somewhere else. Yeah. So it's more for the art exhibition, real-time experience.
Mm-hmm. I saw this work in the SIGGRAPH last year. It was beautifully exhibited and presented, so it's really great. Yeah, wish we have one more chance to experience it, on site later. I don't know, the following year. There's another question about the work. As someone who doesn't have much experience with Chinese characters, can you speak to what the unique symbols generated by Kanji reflect about the way people use Chinese characters today? So what do you think?
I think because right now those symbols are novel symbols generated by machine. It doesn't convey any meanings. It's just constructed by the strokes, Chinese strokes. And I think because our next stage, we just updated this work during this summer. So our next stage is to have the natural language, to have the machine to generate it natural language for those novel symbols to convey meanings for those novel symbols. So I think if we exhibit the new version, those symbols will have meanings and people can actually understand what the machines is talking about. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Here's a question from Rebecca. Many of the characters seem upside down or sideways. Is it then intentional? Are the characters supposed to be recognizable or not?
I think my collaborator, Donghao, can answer this question.
Hello. I think from the neural network, the way we generate the symbols are actually to not make it actually recognizable, in order to just have the feeling of actual like a Chinese stroke characters, rather than evoking a very specific feeling about like connected to the meaning of Chinese characters. And also because many of the audience are not really Chinese people, so they don't really understand exactly what those characters means. I think so one of the design here for the neural network is actually to generate non-meaningful Chinese characters, just to have the visual impression that it looks like a character.
Great, thank you for answer, Donghao. One more question for Kanji. So Cameron asked, did the learning of the models used to generate new symbols utilize time plus symbol? Can you please talk more about that, as well as how the layers, especially the largest that looks like huge landscapes with waterfalls in the background, were learned and combined?
Sorry, go ahead, Weidi.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I think from the neural network's perspective, we basically just generate individual characters, and Weidi can maybe add more to how the scene is constructed.
The themes is actually we use the experimental visualization using the neural network generated image data. So the image data is firstly manipulated with some image processing techniques such as image differencing and alpha compositing and filter design and data transformation. And then we use OpenGL shading language to relocate the pixels from the real world texture to the position determined by the image texture generated by Cangjie. So the data of the RGBA channels of the live streaming will be used to control the movements of those pixels. This we can create an ink flowing effects to like using the pixels of the live streaming to write the new symbols.
Great, thank you so much for the answer. One more question for you guys. Was there any connection to traditional landscape painting? Mike just asked. So any connection to traditional landscape painting, maybe on Chinese culture or art?
Yeah, we are definitely inspired by a lot of Japanese and Chinese calligraphy, and because Chinese and Japanese calligraphy is trying to depict the soul of those characters instead of just to present it visually. And we are also inspired by the early 20th century abstract expressionism, especially such as de Kooning's painting, black and white series, and then how to use the really dense brush stroke to depict the patterns and feelings. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much for all the answers.
Thank you.
Our general chair, Erik, yeah, you wanna follow?
I'd like to jump in with a question for Lena. I thought this was really a fascinating idea to be sort of visualizing the brain's response to optical illusions. I wonder if there's a connection between some of the things we're seeing in the recorded video and the optical illusions that the viewer is being presented with to generate these. I'm just wondering if there's any sort of feedback loop going on where an optical illusion can sort of feed back into a more optical illusion on the visualization.
Well, the images that you were looking at, those were the optical illusions. So,
it was the sound that we were responding to then based on those illusions.
Yeah, so basically with this interface, the web object, the VEP objects, I was using those to create a composition with them. So I was trying to express some kind of like narrative, what happens in someone's brain using their data to create these sounds and visuals.
That's fantastic. We have a question on the Discord chat. Can you speak to the experience of the spatialized sound in an installation setting? Do you find the viewers to be entranced? Is there a possibility of interactivity?
Well, this was supposed to have been an in-person installation. And because of the COVID, it had to be reworked into binaural listening format. So the 8 speakers that were supposed to have been in the installation would now transfer into 8 channels of sound coming if you're listening through headphones. Within the installation itself, the interface would have been there for people to interact with it. So what you've heard in this performance was me interacting with this interface.
Very cool.
There's one more question for Weidi in the YouTube link. So it's a beautiful project. So Daria asked, so how long did it take you to develop the work? And how much data did you have to supply to train your machine learning model to get such constructive behavior or results?
This project, me and Donghao started this project from last summer, and then we finished it early this year, so probably half a year. And then Donghao contribute mostly for training this training this model using ByteGAN, and we used over 9,000 Chinese vector data. Vector data of Chinese characters, over 9,000 Chinese characters. Yeah, and we use the open source Hanzi data to train.
So one of the things I found really fascinating from all 3 of the presenting artists today is how much sound was an important artifact of what you're doing. And we're sort of we're in a visualization conference, but the sound aspect was really very, very important in all 3 of these works. I wonder if any of you would like to jump in and talk about the visualization of sound, or how sound relates to the kinds of work that you're doing. Anyone?
Yeah, there's one more question for Lena. How many subjects did you collect data? How many?
17.
17
subjects. Getting back to the question about the sound, within my work, you know, because I have a composition background, so sound is very important to me. But within the work of the brain, there's a lot of noise and sounds that happen that goes on in the brain that we're not aware of. So I wanted to express that. So, and the method that I used within my work was granular synthesis. And you know, anyone who's familiar with granular synthesis knows that, you know, you have these grains that are very small. So these small grain sizes, like about at least like a milliseconds, like, you know, and then, so the neurons in the brain, they're also about a grain size. So I wanted to use that to express the neuronal firings in the brain. So that's how the sounds came about as well.
So Michael, in your installation, of course, sound is also a very prime concern because people are remixing, you know, found sound from these debates into, you know, rhythmic things. How comfortable are just random users with this interface that you have set up? I know you referenced sort of historically popular drum machines and rhythm machines, but is that really an intuitive interface? Could I walk up and just start, you know, touching things and make an interesting sounding loop, or does it take a little practice?
Well, it usually helps to have some sort of a proctor, you know, like when you go vote, there's usually someone behind the counter in a sweater vest and a name tag, you know. Like that was kind of, I was looking at sweater vests, hoping to be one of those people. But the thing that, you know, a little bit of, I've had like 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds on a step stool play with it for 20 minutes. I've had, you know, the best kind of people are to work with are small children who have no sense of fear, and musical producers, you know, like DJs or musicians. They kind of understand those kinds of equipment. But the simplest one is just the 16-step sequencer, and it's basically just an 808. So you can program a 4 on the floor beat really quickly, and the vocoder is just a it's just a keyboard. So if I help load up a track or a phrase, anybody can use anybody can pound away at a keyboard. You know, ideally it would be me and somebody kind of walking through it, and then you know, some people need a little more help, and some people can just pick it up right away. You know, DJs are my favorite because when the DJ jumps in there, they know exactly what they're doing, and and they make it sound like things I could never imagine. And children, I have a 5-year-old, so you know, that's a great kind of vibe too.
Do you keep recordings of these? So in case
I do, yeah. I've been streaming to Twitch. I've been driving my lonely self to campus every night, where 8 of these are set up, and I stream on Twitch every night at midnight. So come and join me. I'll be doing it tonight. And I just kind of riff. I start with a phrase. I always start with a phrase, and that's been kind of the thing that holds the whole song together, which kind of surprised me. So I'll find something that sounds good, and then I'll build something around the theme, and you know, I kind of surprised myself. Some things that came out, you know, I didn't think I'd ever make songs about that.
What time zone are you in, Michael?
Oh, I'm in Eastern time zone in New Jersey. So I guess that's well, it's early for you guys. It's 10 o'clock.
It's early, yeah.
Eastern, yeah.
Very good.
I had a question for Lena, if you don't mind my asking. If I can ask it here, I'm just interested in how many, if the subjects in Lena's pieces are sitting down. Did you stimulate them with questions or images, or is this just what people's brainwaves look like when they sit still and look at the wall?
They weren't stimulated in the beginning. They were just they were presented. Images were presented, and then they would just look at them, and then we would just record their brainwaves in the process. That answer your question?
I think so.
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
All right. There's a question for Tommaso. Tommaso, you're there, right?
Hi. Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So Mika asked you a question. So she said she appreciates all the subtitles and sensitivities in the work, how important perspective is here. Has this project changed how you view data collection, and how has your work changed since doing the project? So there was a question.
So thank you for the question. This project changed our way of looking at data visualization in many different ways. I think that the most important for me was to understanding how it happens that you can use data also in a politically, in a critical way, because as you heard before, the data that we used are very sensitive, are very personal, are kind of subjective sometimes, are data that are qualitative and about experiences. So it's very different from the data that you might find in more technical or scientific subjects. But still, they are data somehow, and we can use the same languages. So for me, the most important aspects from the data to emerge and to, let's say, to privilege them, it is okay, because it is not meant for giving some possibility to analyze a subject in a very specific and detailed way, but more to convey a message.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. I think we actually all loved, your project. And then, so you're going to give a presentation, your pictorial. So yeah, is it tomorrow or Thursday? I can't remember. Is it Thursday?
It's Thursday.
Yeah. So by the way, VISA, we have paper pictorial session tomorrow, 8 o'clock in Mountain Time, and then Thursday. So please come, and then you will hear the presentation from Tommaso. So I think that would be great. Let's see. All right, thank you, Tommaso. And then I think we can move to, we have two awesome artists here too. So Taekyung Lee and Mathew Walter Green. So who create the climate continuum, beautifully created 3D printed sculpture. So Taekyung and then Mathew. So I have a question. So I'm wondering, what will be the story behind what would actually motivate you guys to make this a project? And then my second question is, so there's a color change aspect in the 3D print sculpture. So I'm wondering if you could explain about how it's actually really working, color change from, it's like a purple color, but it's kind of change it to red or something. So yeah, so I'm wondering like some story behind the work, and then some color change aspect, please. Thank you.
Hi, this is Mathew Wedegreen. I'm happy to talk about the history of the work, and then maybe I can turn it over to Taekyung to talk about the color change aspects of the work. My partner, Brian Barr in Data Design Co. and I have been designing data visualizations for quite some time that we turn into functional objects that people can look at, touch, feel, and really interrogate as a way to understand what the data really means when contextualized into a different format. So this climate spiral is based off of the work of Ed Hawkins, who created this very effective GIF called the Global Temperature Climate Spiral. And it shows the global average temperature since 1850 spiraling around month through month through month. And what you see is a very obvious a growth outwards as global average temperature deviates. And we felt like that was an effective way of displaying the data on a two-dimensional medium such as a screen, but it could never be translated to paper. And we just knew that it demanded to be displayed in 3 dimensions. And so we created this staircase of the actual data itself. And lo and behold, when we created it, a challenge that we had was that it's from 1850 until now, and it really tells a much greater story that we were ever hoping to tell. And so the visualization itself demanded to be something that you could actually hold like a wand or a walking stick. And so that was how we interacted with Taekyung. And Taekyung, do you want to talk about the color change a little bit?
I was muted, so this you can see this one's here. So when we met together with Brian and Mathew, so we talked about how this can be actually 3D printed, and there are some challenges. So I have a small one here because some overhangs and other parts. It also has a little bit tricky to print it, but also we really wanted to make it interactive. So the color changing part is quite straightforward. So this PLA is, PLA is corn-based plastic, and you might notice that there are some people experimenting with different materials. in this case, the color changing figment is infused in PLA. So when the color changes, if the temperature goes up, for example, ambient temperature is above 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius, I believe, and the color changes to pink. And we tested different color changes, but we ended up with purple to pink because it shows really obvious color changes. We tested green to yellow as well, and but as I mentioned, we chose something shows more obvious color changes there, and we are looking forward to experimenting with different materials to really visualize these color changes and in general increase the awareness about the global temperature change. Thank you for the question.
So I have a question to follow up on this. I love this way of visualizing this longitudinal climate data and sort of infusing it also with this color change, tactile expression. If I come across this sculpture, how do I know that this is related to longitudinal climate change? Do I have to have sort of a text to go along with it so I know what's going on?
For this one, probably we plan to, when it's installed in person, we plan to have a kind of special the pedestal on it, so it shows the January to February, and we wanted to include some sort of installation there, so we wasn't able to do this, but we are also thinking about a possible option, but maybe using some AR device, so it tells when you have a smartphone, it will show the color changes with this, but although we didn't get to that point.
Yeah, I love that. And then that just the subtle markings of the months on the base is enough of a clue to lead me into the climate issue. So I like that a lot. Thank you.
Also, one thing is actually when you see in person, the color, the temperature changes quite a lot. So it really shows the things. And then once you show some visual clue to the audiences, they can understand this one, I believe.
Great.
Great, thank you so much. It's really helpful to understand the context and the details of the project. We have another artist in here, Shiwa Park, who created an awesome uncertain facing the machine learning generated 3D virtual sculpture using a human face. So Shiwa, I have a question about your project. So you use a lot of actually faces. So how did you collect the faces first of all? Because you actually use the webcam to capture the faces, face images. But when you actually start working on it, how did you gather some data from some open source? And then my second follow-up question is, sometimes people are kind of a little afraid about, because of privacy issue or some, face is pretty much really one of the key biometrics. So I'm wondering any kind of sensitive thing you might aware or some experience about the use of the face images?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First, answer to the first question. All of the faces I'm using for the visualization and the interface are pre-generated from StyleGAN2, which is deep neural network model for GAN model for generating fake face images. Not only for fake face images, but mainly I get the images from the StyleGAN's faces. So that is the way I got the faces, and also as an interactive installation, it has a feature to capture the audience's face in real time through the iPad camera. So the installation shows the mixed situation where fake faces are merged with our real face. So that is my idea for the installation itself. And for the second question, one of the concern I tried to deal with in this piece was about the use of the mixed use of fake and real images in machine learning itself, especially as you mentioned, the surveillance, especially facial recognition. There is in the process of face recognition, there is a part for face feature extraction, which is called face embedding. There are many deep neural networks that are used for face embeddings. One of neural networks I used in this piece is also a FaceNet. It gives you 128 face features from face images. But my concern was that in designing this kind of deep neural network, there is no way to discriminate the fake face images. So it only accepts images if it has face part in the image. So I tried to express that concerns through my installation, especially interactive part for the audience. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much for answering the question. So any chance, do you have any plan to exhibit this work in upcoming, like in exhibitions, or not yet?
Luckily, I presented this installation in a actual physical event, which was Ars Electronica Festival 2020, which was last month. I presented as a physical installation. But except that, all events as you know, all event has changed into online or virtual event. I think, I don't know. I have to find where actually I can present in physical way. Yeah.
Right. Well, probably after this pandemic, I'm pretty sure you'll find really good places. Yeah. Well, congrats on the Ars Electronica presentation. Yeah, thank you so much. There are some additional questions to Weidi and Donghao. So there's a question about sound and music. Seems like you already answered in the Discord. Could you just quickly summarize about the sound and music you used in the work?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. So the sound is not generated by the visuals, and it's not only just for the exhibition video. The sound is also part of this artwork. And we actually recorded multiple sources of human voices and then use granular things to transform the sound. And we are kind of inspired by the 20th century concrete music. So that's our inspiration, yeah.
Great. On one more question. So Rebecca asked, the character building part of your project remind me of a Sue Bing's book From the Sky. Obviously, your project is more interactive and immersive experience. So please comment on this a bit. Do you know that the Sue Bing's book From the Sky?
Yeah, I know this contemporary artwork, but I don't think I'm very I did enough research of this work deeply. But I think our inspiration is more from the Asian Chinese legendary historian. His name is Cangjie, and he actually invented Chinese character based on his observations of the real world. So our imagination is from him, and to see if we can develop an AI that observe the real world just like the legendary figure Cangjie did, and to create the symbols based on the observation of the real world, based on the real world image data. And then I think our work is more related to how the future, like the imagination of the future language that reflects on the Asian truth. And I think it's also related to this conference topic to evoke enchantment in this artificial intelligence era. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we actually have one additional artist with us today. She happens to also be our exhibition chair. Hana Lee has a work in our exhibition as well, which I found fascinating, partly because I'm really intrigued by this notion of generated narratives and how to drive these various AI techniques to these narratives, and how easily we as humans sort of take these narrative snippets and actually sort of internalize them and try to understand them, even though they're basically gibberish. Can you talk a little about how the AI narrative generation happens?
Yes, so thank you for the question, Erik. I don't think I'm master to talk about an AI narrative generation. However, I was very intrigued by the concept, how the machine can create a narrative and how we can understand and deconstruct and understand the way we actually understand storytelling. So that was sort of the fascinating kind of moments. And I was like, oh, maybe I can explore this kind of set of technology to explore and see whether they can generate a good story out of it. And then that was a part of my experimentation. So yeah, so I can talk more about that in that my artist talk session, which is which is Thursday, is that right? Yeah, Thursday. But I'm very much interested in, and as I said before about that, the 5 story I created was we run that neural network storyteller multiple time in GPT-3 and to select the story. So it's not like always the story coming out really great and understandable, but we had to do the interactive and the human part as a sort of way of selecting and curating the story. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think we're sort of wrapping up our time. Thank you all for coming to this virtual opening. I wish we could have raised a glass and celebrated together. I hope you're all celebrating in some way.
Right, and then we VISA, have 2 paper sessions tomorrow, Wednesday, October 28th at 8 a.m. It's a little bit earlier, but I hope you can make it. So we have one first session tomorrow, and then Thursday and session 2, and Thursday same time, 8 o'clock. So you can check in the website and then find the different YouTube link and the Discord link. So please come check it out.
And that's 8 o'clock in the morning Mountain Time.
Yes, Mountain Time.
Thank you, everybody. We know you have a range of Zoom sessions to choose from, and we are happy you chose ours.
Maybe generators, maybe a last word to shout out to somebody you want to thank.
Well, I think if you go and browse the VISAP website virtual exhibition, I think you'll find lots of fascinating stuff. And of course, the papers and the pictorials that will be in our sessions on tomorrow and Thursday are also going to be fascinating. So please join us for those. It'll be a similar format. We'll have some pre-recorded talks followed by some live Q&A. So come ready to be fascinated and to have some great questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming, and then hope to see in person next year. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, artists, and thank you for all the pinners. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.